Let's go and see what the Bermuda Triangle, which has been talked about for decades, is all about. Where did the story come from and what is the truth behind it? When people talk about the Bermuda Triangle, they are referring to this area, a triangle between Miami, Florida, Bermuda Island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and San Juan, the capital of Puerto Rico. This triangle, which has been discussed for many years, has a story that starts way back in history. Let's go back to the old days. The story begins in the year 1492, the year Christopher Columbus, with several ships, came close to this area. If we want to understand the situation Christopher Columbus was in when he approached this triangle, we can know because he kept a diary and wrote about his daily experiences. These writings have now been turned into a book, translated into various languages, and anyone can get the book and read it. He wrote that when we entered this region, our compasses started malfunctioning, and even though we were heading west, the compass was pointing northwest, as if it was confused. He also wrote that when we were sailing here, we saw a light in the distance, a light that, no matter how much we approached it, kept moving farther away, and then suddenly it disappeared. We couldn't see it anymore. Christopher Columbus didn't mention anything about a triangle existing here, or anything else, but these are the few notes he made about the area. After that date, he never mentioned it again. This was Columbus's writing about the region. If we want to read the next account of this area, we have to skip 114 years to the year 1606. In that year, an English ship had left England with 150 passengers on board and was heading towards the American mainland. However, it got caught in a storm that sank the ship. This storm took place in the region of the Triangle and caused the ship, along with its passengers and crew, to sink. While storms in this region are not unusual, sailors around the world started to fear the area. It was the 17th century, a time when Europe was full of superstitions, magic, and mystical beliefs, so this region quickly became known as a cursed area, or as the Spanish called it, a devilish area. But at that time, it wasn't like today where there's a lot of traffic and information spreads quickly around the world. After a while, this triangle was forgotten. For 175 years, no one said anything about it until the year 1881. That year, an English ship entered the triangle and was heading towards the northwest, towards New York. The passengers on board reported seeing a ship that was motionless and adrift in the water. Their ship went toward it to investigate, and when they reached it, they found it empty. Some people got off the ship and went on board, but during this time, a storm broke out and the two ships lost track of each other. The next day, when they tried to find those people, they discovered the ship again, but the people were gone. The ship was empty again. We don't know if it was just a fabrication or something else, but someone wrote this story down on the ship. This story made the Bermuda Triangle famous around the world, and when something becomes famous, what happens? Many more stories and myths start to surround it. Then, we reach February 1918, when one of the United States Navy ships, the USS Cyclops, was heading north from South America and entered the Bermuda Triangle. The ship carried 300 personnel, and no one knew what happened to it. It suddenly disappeared without a trace, and after more than 100 years, no evidence of the USS Cyclops has been found, not even a piece of wood or a body. This event became so famous that the Bermuda Triangle became known worldwide, and people started calling it the mysterious Bermuda Triangle. Dozens of books and articles were written about it, and even more stories started to spread, such as ones about sea monsters that supposedly swallowed the ship and its passengers. The stories became even more widespread until we reached the year 1941. In this year, another ship of the U.S. Navy, the USS Proteus, carrying 58 personnel, entered the triangle and also disappeared. A month later, another ship with 61 passengers went missing. In 1945, from a U.S. Air Force base in Florida, dozens of World War II bombers were out for training flights, planning to return after 3 hours. These planes entered the Bermuda Triangle to conduct their exercises, but all of them, along with their pilots, disappeared and were never found. It seemed like there was a sky monster in the area, since sea monsters couldn't have reached the planes. Of course, we don't know if such a monster exists, but perhaps if it was as big as Godzilla, it could have. Moving on from one story to another, we reach 1948 when another military plane from the United States, carrying 26 people, disappeared suddenly. In summary, up until today, 70 incidents have occurred in this region, making the Bermuda Triangle a complex mystery that many people talk about. Everyone is curious about these events, and they are all somewhat amazed by them. However, you should know that the term Bermuda Triangle was coined in 1964, describing all the incidents that occurred between Miami, Bermuda, and San Juan. Once this term came into existence, the mystery became even more intriguing and famous. Something this famous inevitably attracts people who want to profit from it, like Charles Berlitz, who in 1974 wrote the book The Bermuda Triangle. This book made the Bermuda Triangle famous even among schoolchildren. The author became a multimillionaire, as in just a few years, 20 million copies of the book were sold, and it was translated into 30 languages, making Charles Berlitz incredibly wealthy. The book, however, was entirely fictional, describing events in the triangle involving aliens, monsters, and demons. Even though readers knew the stories were fictional, they still enjoyed it, which is not surprising since humans are always fascinated by mysterious and eerie things, which give them excitement. In addition to these fantasies and falsehoods, some scientists became curious to understand what was really happening here. Was there something geologically unusual about this area? Did the ocean behave differently here? So a number of them started conducting research. One of their findings was that the Bermuda Triangle is located next to the Gulf of Mexico, and the most intense storms pass through this area. These storms offer one explanation for the disappearances of planes and ships. When a storm starts here, not only does the water become highly turbulent, but the sky also becomes turbulent, making it impossible for planes to pass through easily. They are immediately caught by winds of several hundred kilometers per hour, causing them to crash into the ocean. The storms in this area are so powerful that they can easily destroy planes and ships, and sometimes they might even reduce them to powder. This explains why no traces of some of these accidents were ever found. Scientists arrived at these initial conclusions, but they didn't stop there. They wanted to understand more, so they analyzed global incidents involving both air and sea. They discovered that countless accidents had occurred in waters all around the world throughout history, and compared to other areas, the Bermuda Triangle didn't actually have an unusually high number of incidents. In fact, when it comes to maritime disasters, the Bermuda Triangle is an ordinary area. They found that this region isn't even in the top 10 most dangerous maritime areas in the world. This information showed that the stories surrounding the Bermuda Triangle were baseless. In the last 200 years, 50 planes, 200 ships, and hundreds of people have lost their lives in this triangular area. However, you should know that this is related to the last 200 years, not just 5 or 10 years. This means that the area hasn't been particularly dangerous over the past 200 years, and the incidents that have occurred are fairly typical for such a time period. Moreover, most of the planes and ships involved in these incidents were military, which may complicate matters, as in the case of the USS Cyclops, which sank in 1918. Did a German U-boat sink it? Or was it just a storm? Right now, the most dangerous maritime area in the world is the South China Sea, where heavy traffic and turbulent weather cause numerous accidents. Over the last 10 years alone, more than 200 ships have sunk in this area. But no one calls this place a Bermuda Triangle or a mysterious region because times have changed and modern technology and accurate tools can easily reveal the truth. It's no longer easy to create conspiracies, publish books, and become a millionaire. In the last 10 years, only one major incident has occurred in the Bermuda Triangle, the sinking of the American ship SS El Faro in 2015, which got caught in Hurricane Joaquin. The ship sank in its container, and all 33 crew members were killed. However, after the storm passed, the wreckage of the ship was found, but the bodies of the crew were never recovered. Today, incidents are rare because ships are equipped with weather satellites, radars, advanced compasses, and various other equipment. Unlike before, they don't just sail straight into storms. Therefore, accidents in this area have decreased, but the name Bermuda Triangle remains. The South China Sea, which causes so many accidents due to heavy traffic and bad weather, is not considered a mysterious triangle, although it might deserve the label given the number of incidents. There is another conspiracy theory, and it's worth mentioning. Many people today believe that the CIA was behind these stories to make this area seem dangerous and terrifying during the Cold War. They claim that neither American warplanes nor naval ships disappeared. These were just Hollywood-style movies. Did you notice how these stories became so famous? According to this conspiracy theory, the CIA wanted to make the Bermuda Triangle part of a larger mystery. Finally, let's discuss another theory. Some people say that our washing machine is like the Bermuda Triangle because when you put a pair of socks in it, one of them disappears, and no matter how much you search, you can never find it. Of course, this is just a joke about the Bermuda Triangle theory. Please support us with subscribe, like, and comments, and thanks for your watching.